So this week on the Any Given Day podcast, we have an ultra runner who has conquered the 80k Eco Trail, the 200k Kerryway Ultra, and earlier this year, over 104 hours, had to double check that, 104 hours and 16 minutes with 5 hours of sleep, completed the 300k Northern Transverse. Shane Furlong, welcome to this week's episode of the Any Given Day podcast. How are you getting on?
Oh, good lads. Thanks very much. Great to be on with you.
So what do you do in your spare time?
I go to work. That's about it.
Do you know when you're not running, what else do you do?
I have the joys of being a father to two little girls now, and they keep me fairly well entertained. Luckily enough now, the wife knows what it takes now. I'm allowed to get up early in the morning and go get the running done before anyone else gets out of bed.
To build up a tolerance and a motivation to do that and be a dad and to go to work, it takes some effort. How did you get into this, or how did you find that this was your calling, for want of a better word?
I sure look at now, being honest about it now, I've seen some of the calibre of the lads that you have on now. I'm not much of a runner. It's more a bit of a slugger than anything. A bit of hardship.
You're talking to two of them.
I don't know. I said I wouldn't say it now, Eric, but look at Sean. He let me down a few weeks ago now. He promised me something and he didn't do it. He said he was going running for the weekend and all he gave me was 12 hours. I wasn't happy about it.
So I literally put in the stories, go for a run, running for the weekend, whatever, for the backyard ultra myself and Shane did up the north there back in August. And Shane just took it up literally. So I was going there like 12 hours maxing in this one. Every time coming back, I just see you chillax on the lounger. You told me all weekend, Sean, another 16 days. Where we kept saying, count me down. I'm like, how's he so fucking relaxed? He's gonna do it too. Like, I won't be here.
There's nothing worse when a man is
hurting.
Nothing worse than a man is hurting crossing the line, and you're like, "What's wrong with you? We're going again." And you were getting to him. You were definitely getting to him.
No,
absolutely.
I know. No, in fairness, now I gave it up after 5 or 6 loops because I said to myself, I'm either going to start denying myself or I'm going to start denying everybody in this tent. So I said I'd keep it up after 6 or 7 loops.
But how did it start for you? Have you been running all your life, or did this just happen?
No, running away from what probably has me running more like. Yeah, no. My running, I tell you, I would have. I done a bit of boxing when I was younger, up until my teenage years, and I would have always been running with that. Enjoyed the running. Was always fierce slow. Some things have never changed. But in October 2019, I said I wanted to do a marathon. I had done a few short races, lived in Australia for a few years, done a few short races and 10Ks and 14Ks and all. And said, bucket list now. I'm gonna put in an effort here now, and I'm gonna run a marathon for myself. And that was it then. Yeah, I came to that October. The marathon had just finished, and I got talking to one of the lads' wives, and I said, "Jeez, I wouldn't mind doing that next year. Is it easy enough enter and all?" "Oh yeah, just apply. If you apply now, you'll be through." And sure, with that, didn't they announce that year then that they were doing the lottery? So there was the first year. So that threw that out the window fairly bloody quick on me. So I said, fuck this now, I may do something. So I think I landed on the Cork Marathon. I think that was May or something. I remember it was 6 months from the date. I kind of said I'd start training and I wanted to do one. So landed on the Cork Marathon, and sure, March 2020 came, and sure, we all know what happened then. That was the end of that. So that went out the window as well. And Jesus, sure, I was enjoying a bit of hardship, and the 5K then, the 5K rule came in then, and if I leave my door here, 5K will have me on top of the Black Stairs Mountains. So I had seen videos on YouTube of people in the mountains, and I'd go for a little run. I said, "Oh, Jesus Christ," and sure, that ended that. That was me, and that was me in road running done. I said, there'll be no more of that now. I don't want any of that anymore. And stuck to the mountains, and the ultras fell at my feet pretty much then.
What is the big attraction? Because you're not the first, and you're definitely not going to be the last to say, once you go trail running, it's very hard to go back. What is it about it?
Well, I'll tell you now, and it's a secret, don't tell anyone. You can run as slow as you like and walk, and people don't frown at you.
Simple as that. That's the way it already sounds like our kind of sport.
Sure. And as everyone says, sure, it's an eating competition, so you're allowed to eat as much as you like.
And obviously, you had COVID. You had this. Did you find it a big change from obviously the boxing background? You had your short races. What was it like taking on the hills? Was it a level of tough that you enjoyed, or was it just a level of enjoyment?
Well, I tell you the truth now, it's nearly embarrassing. I went out the first day and I was looking at one of the little hills on the front of the Black Stairs mountain here, and I was like, oh, geez, I wonder how could you go up there? And I was on Google Maps and I was mapping the whole thing out. And but geez, I got to the top of it anyway, and I came down off it and got back to the house, and I looked at the phone and I was like, Jesus Christ, 1,000 feet of elevation. Wow, geez, I am some man. Or geez, a few years forward now, the Northern Traverse at over 30,000, like, but that 1,000 feet it's a little bit huge. I thought that was, I thought that 1,000 feet was absolutely unmerciful. Jeez, it was super and brilliant altogether. But sure, little did I know.
And then, did you then just like during the mountain just went feck out, find a mountain run, and that landed you on the Eco Trail then in Wicklow? Was that your first
pretty much
race then?
I tell you, I went up that first day, and I think it was about March or April, and maybe the Cork Marathon was a month or 6 weeks later or something. I think that got canned pretty much within the first few weeks.
Yeah,
and that's where I took a notion to go up there one day. And it must have been somewhere in March or April, because I remember the weather being half decent. So it was later, it wasn't December. And I remember going up and coming back down, and I don't know how I came about. And I'd say it was the Instagram or Facebook listening to me talking to myself about mountains, but the Eco Trail came up on one of them. And that pretty much it. Then I was like, oh, look at the Eco Trail. Wow. And sure, what happened then as well, I had done that. And then, as I say, the Cork Marathon was a few weeks later. So I was like, sure, I might as well do it in the trail and see what it's like. So I virtually done the Cork Marathon on the trail. And that was it then. I was like, well, sure, I've already done 42 kilometres. Sure, you'd have to go further. So I signed up for the 80 then.
The natural progression.
Or natural progression, yeah. Sure, just double it straight away. Like,
Did you have any fear of the 42? Like a lot of people for their first marathon, they're absolutely crapping themselves. As in, this is my first marathon. What's going to happen? What's going to happen when I reach 30K? You were doing your first one in the mountains.
I tell you what I done. I went out and done my first one with about, I think it was like a 20 kilo Osprey backpack on my back with everything in it and a 2-litre water bottle. And I done the marathon. I done loops over here just there's a White Mountain. There's kind of a loop just off the Black Stairs. It wouldn't be up to the very peak. It's on the lower side. And I done loops of that, and I done it in 4 hours, 25 minutes, and I think nearly 4,000 feet of elevation. Well, if I went out and done that now, I'd be calving for a week after. Out clueless and fearless. And sure, to be all right, I'll run all these uphills, sure. That's what running's about. And now, fast forward all these years later, and I get a bit of coaching off Rene Borges, like, the minute you see that, you start walking that.
And obviously leave the backpack at home.
Well, no, you need a big backpack, but the thing is you're going a couple of 100K, not just 40K over 4 hours.
Winter training? You need Ultra Pure Laboratories Wintergreen Heat Rub Cream.
Recommended by physios, trusted by athletes, and tried and tested by ourselves, this is an essential warming muscle rub for cold winter days.
Ultra Pure Wintergreen Heat Rub Cream is perfect for warming up muscles before exercise.
And ideal for soothing tired muscles, which, let's face it, marathon training, we could definitely do with that.
If you're concerned about the ingredients, it contains wintergreen oil, rosemary camphor oil, juniper berry oil, and antioxidant-rich caffeine powder. Sean has no idea what any of these means, but he knows that they work.
It keeps me warm too. Apply Ultra Pure Laboratories Wintergreen Heat Rub Cream liberally on problem areas such as the legs, arms, back, neck, and shoulders, and massage as well. Boy, rinse hands well with cool water after use. I have made that mistake. It is not fun.
Guaranteed Irish and made in County Mayo, Ultra Pure Wintergreen Heat Rub Cream is available in pharmacies and health stores nationwide. Shop the Ultra Pure Muscle Recovery range in-store or online and find out more at ultrapurelabs.ie. By listening to this advert, you are supporting Irish podcasts and Irish businesses. Let's get back to the podcast.
But it's so I said, that was it then, the Eco Trail. I signed up for the Eco Trail, but the Eco Trail actually never got cancelled until literally, I think it was about 9 or 10 days before that year. And they cancelled it. And I was like, lads, I am not wasting all this training. So I was like, feck this, same thing, put on that big backpack again, put the turkey burgers and the gels and the water and all that in the bag. And I took off one Saturday morning at 7 o'clock and I said, I'll do this virtually. And sure, I had spent, in fairness now, I had spent a good 5 months doing every trail and covering every foot of grass, mountain, rock, trail on the Black Stairs. But little did I think of calculating the elevation in it. The Eco Trail has about 7,000 feet of elevation. Didn't Shane go up and end up up somewhere near 11 or 1200,000? 12,000 feet of elevation. Oh, jeez, I was up there for 12 and a half hours, just under 12 and a half hours, and I died a day.
What was it like? I suppose you're on your own with just you, your turkey burgers, and your backpack. What goes through your head when you start suffering?
Sure, look, it's probably a reason, it's like everyone has their little high to it. Like as a good runner, you know what I mean? Your high is maybe to win these races. As a man who is well back in the pack, sure, it's the mental aspect of it. Like, look, we've all suffered with mental health. We've all suffered with issues. We've all lost people in our lives and friends and cousins and family members and stuff like. And I suppose when you get up there, that's pretty much my dealings with. Probably to go back to the start of the story, really. My mother-in-law passed away fairly horrendously in April of that year of 19. And it kind of gave me a bit of a push to kind of deal with that nearly more than anything, sort of, it's not my mother, it's my mother-in-law. It's kind of had a feeling of like, it's not my mother, I have to be there for my wife. Like, so this was kind of my way of dealing with it. So I suppose for the likes of that one now, when you really get into the trenches, it's a case of you have to dig yourself out, that sort of way. And that's just being honest about it. Like, that's my story is no different to anyone else's. And my story is quite small compared to some people's stories as to why they do it. But it's, probably your own mind. It's good for that side of it more than anything, really, with me.
And I suppose when you're in nature, when you're on a mountain on your own, you've no choice but to deal with it. You've no choice but to process the thoughts. And when you're hurting, that's when all these thoughts start to come in.
Oh, that's where all the doubt comes from. That's where it all, like, what are you doing? And why did you, Jesus, lads, I tell you, I've been in the depths of it now with some of the big races now, especially like that Northern Traverse, and you'd be thinking, geez, I remember when I cursed at my mammy when I was 3,
I didn't mean to wet the bed. It was just one.
You're looking for anything that's going to push you through there now at that stage now, to be honest with you. And, you're dealing with it head on. That sort of way. It's a bit of meditation. It's a bit of work with a shrink. It's a bit of therapy. It's a bit of everything, really, I suppose.
And then the following year, you went back at it. You got the Eco Trail. Then Cork didn't matter. It opened up. You weren't doing that anymore. You went to the Eco Trail. And you have a great video on your Instagram of you finishing that. Did that lead to I got to go further and further, or were you done with the trails at that stage of races? How was it finally actually doing a race as opposed to up by yourself and just trying to map out 80k close to 80k?
Yeah, well, I tell you, obviously there was no more races for that year. There was a couple of short ones locally, but obviously I had never seen race day, bar like the 14k in Sydney when I was in Australia, a couple of 10ks and stuff. And that's like, oh, hey, well done. It's a whatever of a thing. But the day when I finished the Eco Trail 80k, ran in, finished, had suffered. I know it's only 80k, but like I had suffered, even though I had all the training done and huge mileage done. I suffered when it came to, I suffered with nutrition. I suffered with a lot of things because I just didn't have the knowledge. But there's one thing I took from it from the minute I came over that end line is I want more of this and I want further. And I want to know how deep does this go within myself, not for anybody else. Like, sure, like there's people, there's some outstanding Irish runners on Keith Russell, you know what I mean? Like, them lads is able to do it brilliantly and they have their own reasons too. But I was like, I know I'm slow. I am not winning races, but I can win the one with me. So it's kind of like, let's try and go that bit further. And thankfully, every race I've entered, I've went a bit further. Bar, obviously, the backyard now with yourself in August, but that was literally just, am I able to run anymore after the Northern Traverse because it took me so long to try and recover?
That's very fair. But I went the same thing. When I did the Eco Trail, I did the exact same approach. Like, I'm not going to win this thing. If I could just do 80, I'd be happy with that. And then I got to 80. I was like, what's next? And that's when I had the 100-mile goal afterwards. But you can see with the Eco Trail, you have your 19, your 46, your 80, there's somewhere else in between, and you just went, fuck it, 80. And then you went to the Kerry Bay Ultra, and you have your overnight one, your 100K, and then your 200K, and you went, fuck it, I'll sign up to the 200K and see where I could go.
Yeah.
Any regrets?
No. Oh, jeez, I tell you, sure. Mutual friends, PJ and Tom, we had went up to do a backyard in Castle Ward in February of 22. And I had signed up for Kerry, or I was talking about signing up for Kerry. I can't remember exactly. I was trying to think this back before. But went up, and there was a bit of a story. Was I arrived in on the Friday night to stick up a little 2-man tent. And I pulled up, and it was in Northern Ireland, so obviously a lot of competitors are from the north. But there was 2 lads beside me started putting up a big 10-man tent. And when I'm telling you, I hadn't a clue how to stick up a 2-man tent. We're talking about 2 lads trying to stick up a 10-man tent. It was absolutely brilliant.
That wasn't the bad crew.
Well, anyway, of course, one thing led to another. And geez, how are you? Where are you from? Do you want a hand? Da. Yeah, I'm Tom Owens. Is there Tom Owens? You tip man, you followed me in Strava a couple of weeks ago. I did. I seen you were doing the backyard. So talking to the 2 lads, and to be honest with you, that was a friendship made in hell after that. Like, the 3 of us have a little WhatsApp group from that day, and we've never left each other since. I tell you, if you think DNFing is bad, DNFing and being in that WhatsApp group is quite bad.
And not only that, none of you know how to put up a tent still after all these years.
No, and there's no. Let me tell you, there's no safe space within that. Let me tell you now, it's fairly tough. But I met the boys at that backyard, and as I say, I can't remember. I just signed up or what, but the 3 of us done. I think myself and PJ done 17 loops, and Tom done 18 loops, and we pretty much made it our business. We were doing Kerry, and we were going to do it together that year, sort of thing. And sure, because there was no backing out after that. That was in the February. In the May, then we went and done the Wexford 24-hour down in Johnstown Castle. I think Shawnee got his big 100 and that, didn't you?
Yeah, that's the one where I got that. When I saw the pictures of Australians there doing that, who's inspiring who to get down to Wexford, do the 24-hour? Which one is pushing Euros the most to do these races?
It was me bursting the boys over. Oh, jeez, think of it, lads. None of us have done 100. If we do 100, Kerry's only another 25. Oh, jeez, we'll have to do it. We'll have to do it. But myself and Tom had it booked in our head the whole time. And there was something going on. I think PJ could have had a communion or a confirmation or something on the Saturday, so he couldn't come do the 24. But he ended up then having an operation, I think maybe 3 or 4 days before. He'd somehow kidneys or kidney stones or somehow small operation anyway, but he got it done, and that was it. And he said he'd come down just to help Tom to get to the 100-mile when Tom started suffering. So he'd come down and do the 3-hour or the 6-hour. Sure, he come down, he was like, he had the operation, then he got a feed of pints, got a lift down at 3 o'clock in the morning, done the 6-hour race, and after about 1 loop went to Tom, fuck this, you're going too slow, and took off running, and then got 36 mile in the 6 hours himself. When he died of a hangover. So, like, do you know what I mean? There was a piss take from day one with them boys, like. But yeah, no, in fairness, Tom got the 100 that day, but I didn't get. Oh jeez, I got something like 80 miles or something. But sure, I walked for 14 hours. Yeah, it was
very tough to pace yourself doing that race because it's only just the 1.3 and it's mostly flat. You're like, did you feel like you took off too fast the first 6 getting towards? Because I thought in my head after the first 4 hours, go, Jesus, 100 this is happening. I might get 110, maybe 120. I'm feeling great here. Keep on going and doing the maths, and all of a sudden it's like, well, you're getting, you haven't got as much time to spare to get to 100, and they got the halfway through the night. I'm like, if you get any sleep at all, 100's not happening. Does the same happen with you? Did you feel like really good to start and then just fucked it? Looking to recover faster, train harder, and perform better?
And then what?
Perform Nutrition is one of Ireland's leading sports nutrition brands with a number of great tasting protein powders, a range of vitamins, as well as other supplements such as creatine. All products are made in the GMP facility in the west of Ireland, and they have a range of batch tested and informed sports certified products. Perform is trusted by a number of Olympians, High Rocks champions such as Sean Noble, he was in the podcast.
Yeah, right, he was.
Also, CrossFit Games athletes such as Emma McQuaid and many more. Perform's goal is to offer the highest quality, best tasting nutrition products for competitive prices. And now you can get an extra 25% off all products with the code AGR on their website, performnutrition.com.
25%. I'm typing it in now. And don't forget, we are supporting Irish companies. You are supporting this podcast by listening to this advert. So support Irish, get behind your podcast and get behind your local businesses. And until then, let's get back to the podcast.
No, but that does sound very good. Instead, I was injured and hadn't ran for 5 weeks before it mentioned. I'm not going to wait the 24 hours. That's what I done. I went down like a gobshite. Myself and Tom stuck together and we paced it fairly well. And then I got to about 6 hours in. I went, I might walk a half loop and run a bit. And then I got to 8 hours in. I went, this is not going great. And then 10 hours in, I went, that's me fucked. And I had to walk then for the next 14 hours.
Jeez, how to pack with bags at the home?
What do you do for 14 hours?
Would you believe I actually DNF'd it at 8:30 the next morning? I said, I can't keep going. I may stop. And I lay down the tent and I lay down for a couple of hours, less, maybe an hour and a half, 2 hours. And I was laying there and I goes, well, I can't sleep because Tom and PJ keep coming in. The sun is after coming up. My knee is killing me when I'm lying here. I was like, well, you're fucking, I might as well be walking. Loops is killing me. So I'm back out for another 2 hours then to finish it off.
Yeah. Just took a little half time.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, just had a little break to have a little talk to myself. And then realised there was no one passing back.
Misery loves company, and you seem to have got good company in it. What kind of structure then did you add onto that? Because between communions, operations, and injuries, how did you kind of shape yourselves for Kerry?
Well, I tell you now, the boys religiously train together. It doesn't matter if one walks 100 yards, the other lad walks 101 yards. They're chronic. They does everything together. So obviously I wasn't training with the lads. Now we may hope and had a few sessions up in the Black Stairs. I had one big day up in the Black Stairs and stuff. But in the middle, after that first eco trail, I took on Rene Borg as I gave him a shout. I took him on. That sounds like he wanted me, but no, I rang Rene Borg to Rene. I took a bit of a plan made out because I knew myself. If I was running on the flat, I was doing 8 minute miles. If I was running up the hill, I was doing 8 minute miles. If I was running down the hill, I was doing 8 minute miles. And I was, you'd be reading into these things and it's a bit like, well, like you're in the red the whole time. This is not sustainable, sort of. So I kind of got Rene involved in it there. So there was a bit more structure to my running. But yeah, you're learning every day. Do you know that sort of way? Like even now, like no matter how far you've gone, I've done 300k and you know what I mean? You go to do 10k in the morning, you feel 10 times worse. That sort of way. Everything is everything can make you suffer, sort of thing. Like, and there's so many different things. If your headspace is not in the right frame of mind, you're in trouble. If your legs are not right, or if you didn't eat right, or you ate the wrong thing, you're heading for the ditch. You know, like there's every day is a learning day when it comes to running, lads. But I think in life, everything needs to be every day is a learning day. No matter what you train at, no matter what you work at, if you're not willing to learn every day, you're at nothing. And I think that's the way I kind of took the running. I takes on nearly everything Rene does say to me, but so sometimes you might tell you go out and do 3 hours and you might end up doing 5 or something, but there's no harm in doing something like that when you're not, you know, it's not 5 hour speed session with me. Like my speed sessions are fairly limited now. But no, there was a bit of structure coming into that, but I took a lot of structure on now. Like last year was a disaster. I had a bit of a bang in the car early in the year last year. A rough old time of it now mentally as well. A bit of an accident. A guy trying to commit suicide walked under me one day and I driving to work, like, and that absolutely knocked me for 6. So there was very little running done last year, but it's the same as everything you take to the extremities. Because I wasn't running, I had a bit of a nickel in my knee and it was more in my head than anything. Sure, then it was, I tried to get a couple of points and then you were getting a couple of points too often. So you were doing one extreme to the other, sort. And I said to myself in July then, I says, BJ Shane, you're going one way and it's not the right way. It's time to cop on here now and sort yourself out. So what other way would you be going to do it and sign up for a 300 kilometre race? So
some people get back into running with a park run. You said no, fuck it, 300 kilometres.
Yeah. For I done 200, so what was the point doing anything less? Like, and sure, I tell you the truth, I hadn't ran 300 kilometers in the previous 6 months, I'd say, at that rate. You know, the way the running was going, like I just mentally wasn't there. I did have a little niggle in the knee. It was an overuse injury, but it wasn't more mental. I was nearly using that as an excuse not to run. You know, that sort of way, even though it was a tough time at the time to try and deal with what had happened. And obviously I had it over my head with, you know, you have your claiming off insurances and Jesus with hardship, but
jeez.
that was nothing compared to what happened to that poor man now, in fairness, but that's just something you had to deal with, sort of. But yeah, no, I sat here that July and I spent about 4 days constantly looking, and I was like, I'm committing to something big here, and I don't know how it came up, same thing. I had seen the spine, but I was a little bit, the spine is big, like. Sure, like the spine is, 440 kilometers. We'll just go 300. It's a little bit less.
So you made the phone call the other day, did you? I just be like, here, I need a training program. I haven't ran in a while, but sure, 300K is coming up now in a couple of months. Start us out with a training program. Like, how do you even program? How do you even train for something like that?
I tell you the truth, I text him and I said, look, we're whatever. I can't remember the exact word of it, but it was pretty much, there was no beating around the bush. It was like, if I don't get fucking back running here, I'm going to be an alcoholic here or something. That sort of thing. I've entered a big race and it was like, what is it? And I was like, the 300 kilometer Northern Traverse. And he goes, that's in April, yeah. Suppose we better get back training. Yeah, I think we may get back training. But long days. Like I was starting from scratch then too. Like, I honest to God now, I don't know how little. Oh, jeez, I wasn't running twice a week or 3 times a week that time when I signed up for that. But I knew if I signed up for Kerry or signed up for 100K or something around that time, I knew myself because I had done the 200. And not that it was very easy doing the 200, but I knew in my own head I'd be like, sure, I can, if you go do something you've already done, you can kind of maybe be a little bit lenient on yourself. Whereas I knew then 300K, I've never been there. I remember them last few hours of suffering in Kerry. I was like, am I going to suffer for that many hours? I need to just get the head around it now. And I did. And the training was absolutely super for it. Just, do you know what I mean? A couple of big long days, a lot of speed work. I had got myself, running quite fast even, which is something that I don't do too often. But, do you know what I mean? I was running quite well and I was like, brilliant. And I got to the start line on the February the 6th or 5th or whatever, or April the 5th or 6th, wherever it was. And I swear to God, I've never been as fit in. I was in unbelievably good shape. Absolutely flying it. And then followed 104 hours of the roughest, sickest time of my life.
Just talk us through it. Because a race has key moments that you remember, good, bad, and indifferent. If you don't mind, take us on a journey through a 300-kilometer horrible race, please.
Yeah, well, as I say, couldn't have been any fitter. Jesus, couldn't have been any more excited about. Was in great form. Fell in with an English guy about 4 or 5 miles into the race. Real nice fella. Got chatting with him. Just clicked with him straight away. You know when you just, the likes of races like that, you get talking to someone and you just know they're about the same thing. That sort of way. And Jesus, me and him, we stuck together now the whole way to the first aid station later on that night, but just had right crack with him. But I remember you come to what it is, so it's all the Lake District, the first 100Ks. And you come to Innerdale Bridge, which is the first main lake. Very, very technical along there, if you know what I mean. It's not flat trail or anything like that, it's big technical rock. And it was running along there. As I was running along there, I was like 6 or 7 hours in, I was like, I have that feeling in my ankles. I have this little habit of my ankles swell and I get this pain in my ankles. I had it for the last 20 mile of Kerry. I had it in Wexford. I've had it in several times. And I was like, this is 6 or 7 hours in here, lads. I'm 40K or so into this, 45K into this. I have a long way to go with this. I was like, I shouldn't be feeling this yet. And pretty much that was the start of it. And I kind of went to myself, well, I'm going to be in trouble here now. And myself and your man stayed together. And that was grand. Shawnee, you'll know this day, of course, because it was the same day as Elevation. So it was the storm came in.
Yeah, I was going to say that.
I'm going to be somewhat cheeky and say that you kind of got the arse of it, where I got the full eye of it up in the Lakeland district. And we got the full brunt of it. But it started kicking in about 5 or 6 o'clock in the evening, and I was coming down off another little lake, and I was kind of in the saddle between two peaks, if you know what I mean. And it was lovely and flat. The lake to one side of me, like a little drop off, not a big, nothing like a cliff edge or anything. Little bit of a roll off the hill sort of. And whatever in the name of Jesus happened to me, my 2 feet or something must have been off the ground at the same time. But a gust of wind hit me, and I was literally like Superman. 2 poles in the ground, whole body plenty to reach for the poles. And the English lad was behind me, and he said he never seen anything like it in his life. But eventually, in the split second, I let rid of the poles, but I landed. Jesus, it must have took me 6 meters before I was able to stop myself. And I said, Jesus Christ, this is getting crazy. And that was it then. The rain landed in it. You know yourself, we were climbing climbs like the Devil's Ladder on Carrauntoohil, proper climbs. And the wind was absolutely hammering us. The rain was hammering us. Got into the first aid station. About 9:30 that night. And the English lad, Ben, in fairness to him, he had all mapped out because he had done it the previous year, but he'd done it. He'd got an awful bad injury on the far side of it and had to DNF. So he had a plan well made out. And he was, this time for this day, this time, this stage station. He'd all planned out. And he was like, you'll finish in about 8 o'clock Wednesday morning. And I suggested that. I said, I don't have a plan because I haven't recce'd it. So I don't have a plan really. But it's kind of keep going and see where I land. And he says to me, and in fairness, the plan he had, 100%, sounded good to me. But the problem was the race was faster changing from a 10 a.m. start to a 7 a.m. start. And the first aid station we got into it 3 hours before when he had kind of said we'd get into it. So we ended up getting into it at 9 o'clock at night. And he was like, no, I'm taking a sleep. We thought we were getting in at 12. He said he would take a sleep for 4 hours because the biggest climb is straight after that aid station. And he said he wanted to do it in daylight because it's such a tough climb. But she didn't get in at 9 o'clock. And it took a bit of a while. We were freezing cold, soaking wet. Took a couple of hours to get a bit of food and change the clothes. And he was, oh no, I'm going for a sleep. And I was like, it's the kind of green here now, and maybe I will, maybe I won't. Went out, dry clothes, sleeping bag, lay down in the tent. The fucking tent leaked on me. So damn solid on me. I stood up after about an hour, no sleep, and I was like, fuck this. And I just got up, and he woke up, and I said, Ben, sorry man, I'm going. I said, I'm already fucking wet, not lying here. And you see, I didn't want to go to sleep then, but I was his plan sounded so well, and it was a good plan, but it was just because it was that bit earlier in the race, it was too early in the race. I used to be a truck driver in a past life, and I you know what I mean? You fight to your strengths. I'm not a fast runner. I'm not a good runner, but I can fucking go without sleep. So I was I want to get moving here. So of course, I took off out of that one. And what actually happened was that was the highest climb. They actually changed it. They wouldn't let us go up it. They were after recording some huge winds up there. And the first 17 people went up it and came down it. And they wouldn't allow anyone else to go up or down it. So we had to actually divert around it. The diversion, I think, could have been only maybe half a mile less in distance, but it actually ended up being more elevation because what we done was we just went up and down saddlebacks all around it. So we got a bit more elevation in it. So kept going on with that and got into Shap then as the 100k marker the next morning. Got into Shap I think it could have been about 22 hours into it. Got into Shap just as sunlight, and it was horrendous. Just like sitting down and shaking for about 2 hours, just couldn't. The body temperature was gone, but everyone was in the same boat. That sort of way. Like the feet were wrecked, the feet were soaked. You know what I mean? Getting off them clothes and trying to get on dry clothes was an absolute torture, and it was horrendous. But there's 4 races. There's the Northern Traverse, which is the 300, and then there's the Lakelands Traverse, which actually ends there. And when I went in, about 8 people were sitting in there going, oh, we're finished. And I was sitting there going, yes, fuck it. I'm going to shoot you. We just shut up. So I went in and I said to myself, I was getting ready. The medics are outstanding at this race. Went in and your mom was like, look, you're shaking. You want some soup? You want some beans? Blah, 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 blah. So I was taking all the hot food. The minute the shaking stopped, I said, right, I'm going. And I'd done me 2.5 or 3 hours in that age. But once the shaking stopped, I said, right, the body temperature is back somewhat right. My ankles are swollen to bits and absolutely killing me. I can't stay any longer in here. So I just scarpered out the road again. But sure, that was pretty much my race from then on. I didn't continuously run for any more than half an hour from that point onwards. It was just a get the pike and poles and slog and pike and slog and pike, and that was it. Get to the next aid station, try and get a bit of a sleep, get moving again and keep going and stuff. And it just, my feet were in and off. It was like pretty much from that 100k mark to the last aid station at Gladesdale, which is a local hall, but it doesn't have the tents. It just has hot food. You don't have your drop bag or nothing else in it. And it's 21 miles from the end. So it's 34 or 5k from the end. And I got into that one. I was after having 3 or 4 sessions of sleep depression or sleep, what you may call it, where I was after being delusional. I was after seeing things, deprivation. I was actually after having a couple of, oh, look, what's he doing standing there? That's very weird. Oh, geez, that's a rock. Yeah, I had a horrendous one. I was coming in, the sun had just come up, and I think it's coming into Reet. So I think it's about 210k, 210k or something like that. Can't exactly remember what morning I was on. It could have been the Monday morning. I finished the Wednesday morning. It could have been the Monday morning. And I was coming down through this disused quarry. It's all quarries over there and old mines and stuff, slate mines and stuff. But I was kind of coming down into this, and there was actually a little digger there. And I was looking at the digger, and I worked in the mines in Australia, and I worked for a company called AirTech. And I was coming down along, and I was looking at the digger, and I was plodding along. And next time I looked up, and here was 3 or 4 dump trucks, but they weren't there a second ago. I was like, oh yeah. Now you're talking about 40, 50 ton dump trucks. I'm not talking about little small dumpers. Right. What Jesus up the street then? I was like, geez, the AirTech is rolling the side of them as well. And next minute I was like, geez, there's 3 of the boys from the north that worked with me. And next minute I looked down, and I had my work boots on, I had my high-vis pants on, my pole turned into me daily check sheet and a pen, and I had my high-vis vest on. Jesus. Honest to Jez, it couldn't have been more real than me talking to you now. And I don't know if it lasted 10 minutes or 10 seconds, but literally I gave myself a bit of a shake is what I think. And then I came to and I went, geez, I've never been as tired in my life. And there was a bit of stone beside me in the stockpile, and I done nothing, only just lay straight back in it. And I don't know why, but I set my alarm for 3 minutes. And I woke up 3 minutes later when my alarm went off, and I went on myself. And it was the same as it was having 3 hours sleep.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Had you ever suffered with sleep deprivation before this race, doing any of the races, the 200k Kerryway Ultra or the truck driving before, anything like that? Did you ever suffer with this before? Like,
well, legally as a truck driver, no. But yes.
I need to drive overnight. Like, I need to pull over before this happens.
No. I've seen it somewhat with the truck driving back then when I used to do a job. But no, in the Kerryway, what had happened to me, I was coming into Caherdaniel, near the show Caherdaniel, and there's a crossroad you come into it. And I had lost Tom and PJ, I'd let him on. Tom had picked up a bit of an injury, and the 2 of them were fighting like cats and dogs. So I'd fell back a bit from the boys, and I picked a point in the road, get to it. And next minute I was at it. Pick a point in the road, get to it. Next minute I was at it. And next minute then there was a junction with a kind of a Y junction with a Y sign. And I said, just pick the sign and get to it. And I woke up standing in the middle of it on the hiking poles. So that was the first and only time that had actually happened to me. But like, as in for the, like actually, do you know what I mean? The illusions of actually thinking there's something there, that had never happened to me. But this, it happened to me now about 3 times in that race. But that one was the freakiest. Because, like, to me, I was getting up on that dump truck to do a day's work, like.
And when you got to that final aid station, was that a time for you to say, listen, I need an hour or 2 here?
And I'm going to rewind over a 2 minute, and I'll tell you quickly. I fell in with a guy coming into the second aid station, and I got chatting with him, and I was looking at my watch with the GPX, and he took off to the right up a bit of a hill off the road, and my GPX was staying straight. And I ran up behind him. This is 12 o'clock at night or something like that. It was black dark and it couldn't rain any harder. Ran up behind him, frightened the life out of him, obviously, because the wind was howling and the rain was. And I said, lad, are you right, do you think? Because I said, my GPX is say going. Yours says on off. What's going on? Oh, I don't know. And his GPX was only showing straight lines. So we got in together. We walked together for about 4 or 5 hours or ran together, whatever. Got into the next aid station. I left him. I said, look, you're moving a bit slower than me, or I'm moving a bit faster. I keep going. Got into the next aid station. I had a sleep and a bit day, and I came back and I met him in the doorway. and he was being brought in, or in the shower, so he was getting showers what he was heading for. And I says, "Are you all right?" "No, I'm done, mister, doing me knee." And I says, "Oh, Jesus." I says, what's the plan now?" "Oh, the boys come out and collected me from the aid station." Now, he's telling me from North London. This is in North Yorkshire, right? So I says to him, I says, "So what are you going to do now? Like, will they drop you to the next aid station?" "Oh, no. Should they have nothing to do with you now? You have to get to the end on your own." And I went, "You what?" "Oh, yeah." I says, I have to get my wife to come up from North London now all the way to Yorkshire to collect me in North Yorkshire." I went, "Oh, no, there now. Who the fuck is coming to get me for the DNF?" That was pretty much why you went. I was like, "Well, Shane, you have no fucking choice because your wife is in Wexford and your friends are in Wexford and Dublin and wherever, and there's fucking no one in England to come and get you." And my car was parked at the finish line, so I had no choice. I need to keep going.
That's insane.
Yeah.
And
Look, I could tell you for hours about the suffering, but I got into that last aid station, and this was where I don't think I'll ever get to the depths of it, but I have plans on longer races, so maybe I will. But I got into the last aid station, and I was suffering with trench foot. I was suffering with the blood pooling in my feet. I had lacerations because of, like, you know, when you're in the bath too long and your feet and hands wrinkled, they had overlapped on the feet. And then with the friction, they had actually split from side to side. So I had lacerations the width of my feet. Toenails weren't too bad. I had it fairly wrapped all right, but I went into a lady.
Every cloud.
Yeah. But I pulled into that aid station, and I hadn't slept in the last one. And I said to the lady, I said, "Look, I want to get 1 hour." I said, "It's 4:00 in the morning." And I said, "I know I have enough time because I have till midnight tonight to get 21 miles. I could crawl if I want. But I said, I want to get sleep. But I said, would you mind having a look at my feet again? I've had to have the medics have a look." And she took them off and she goes, "Bitches," she says, "you're not winning this race." But she says, "You're winning the award for the worst fucking feet." Jesus, do I get a medal for that?
Yeah.
So I was happy with that. So in fairness to her, she said, "Look, get your shoes off, lie down on the ground, elevate the feet." She said, "You're planning on an hour's sleep." I said, "Yeah." And she said, "Look, my rotation, they do a rotation, 6 hours on, 6 hours off amongst the aid station, and they were just sleeping at the aid station themselves." She says, "I'm due to go to sleep." She says, "I'm staying awake." She says, "In an hour, give me a shout. I need to sort these feet out or you're not finishing this race." I says, 100%. So I set the hour, got the hour's sleep, passed out, woke up. Didn't want to wake her because she could sleep right beside me, sort of. But the other lady that was working was like, "Oh, I'll get her now." Maud, I think, could have been her name, but whatever. "I'll get her down now." She come up, and in fairness to her, she spent 45 minutes at my feet. Like, she done an unbelievable job, like. But then she says, "Right, sure, look, we'll get you going." I says, "Perfect." So I put my foot in the shoes. Jeez, they're fairly fucking high, aren't they? "I'll take the laces out. I'll get him in. That's what's wrong with him." Took the laces out. "Why are my feet not going into these shoes, lads?" Couldn't get the feet in the shoes. She goes, "No." She said, "All the blood is at their pool." And she says, "You're not going to get your feet in them shoes." So I says, that's 100%. I said, "I'm going in my socks." She says, I can't let you out here in your socks. You can't, like." I was like, what am I going to do?" And she says, "I'm not telling you this." She says, but she says, there's a steroid blade." She said, "Rip them shoes open." So I cut 2 long triangles, or 2 long trusses, either size on the white part of your feet, and bursted them open so that the feet would actually bulge out through the holes. And I still brand new pair of Hoka Challenger sixes sitting out here now with 2 big slits on either side of them.
Oh my!
That was the only way my shoes were going back on in that, and otherwise I was dropping. And after the hardship I was ever getting, I was not dropping there no matter what happened.
So what goes through your head now? You have feet bursting out of your shoes, blood pooling. You've just about got touched up. You're going out for another 8 to 10 hours, maybe more. What's going through your head for this? Just survive?
Yeah, get there. Just fucking get there. 10 hours is what it took me in the end. I went out with just before 6 or just after 6, and I think it was 16 minutes past 4 when I arrived into the end line. But it was a case of just get there. And it was for the first time ever. Now, when I'm on long runs, I don't listen to music or podcasts. If I'm on short 1 hour runs, some days I might try on an hour podcast. I want to catch up on money or your podcast, of course.
You, the best.
That's
Yeah. But yeah, no, if I wanted to catch up on a podcast, I'd throw them on, but I never wear them on the long runs because I kind of think in the training, you kind of, when you're on the long runs and you're suffering, you need to suffer. You need to be, you need to suffer in your head. Like if you're going to do 200-300 kilometer races, you're not listening to 200 or 300 kilometers worth of podcasts. Like, so I had never done it. And literally I went out with that, and you come out through a little village and you kind of come up over a little hill. There's very little elevation in the rest of it. It's just a lot of bog more than anything. And I was going along, and then it was into a farmer's lane, and the farmer's lane went underneath the railway track. And the fucking Jesus Christ, for 100 meters solid, the water was above my knees, and it was pure muck, cow manure, dirt, slop. And I got off hours there, and I was like, I'm listening to something here. And I remember sticking on a couple of podcasts and music, and that was the first time I ever done that. But that only got me about 2.5 hours in the course. Then, like, you were looking at your battery on your phone and the battery on your earphones and stuff. So it was literally put your head down and fucking go for it. But Jesus, it was rough. Like, there was no running. Like, I tried a little bit of running, but like, when I mean no running, I mean I might run 5 steps every kilometre. You know, the pain was too much. The knees, the ankles were absolute balloons. Every foot I put down was a wince and a tear, and I have no problem saying that. Let me tell you, you know, it was just. That was like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, why are you doing that? And that was when I went down into it. Like, I had cried during that race a couple of times, but that whole end of that race, like, every step was chronic. But the only thing that kept me going was, I was like, as I said, if I crawl, I'm able to make this before 12 o'clock tonight. So the only thing was, I knew no matter how bad it got, I was going to finish it. But by geez, it was 10 hours of suffering. And as I say, 104 hours over the whole thing. 5 hours sleep, and in that maybe a little bit better, and there was 3 trail naps in that, like the one with the diggers. There was a matter of just lying down the side and falling asleep for 10 or 15 minutes and getting back up and going again, sort of. But yeah, that was a different kettle of fish. Like, that was, you know, it's not running, like, you know, it's just hardship.
What does it feel like, even though you're absolutely goose? What, like, I know the feeling of crossing the marathon, it's emotional. What does it feel like finishing that race? What was the finish line? Is it just some guy handing you a medal and off you go back to your car?
No, it's the coast, you see, because you run from one side of the coast in the UK to the other. So what you do is you pick up a little pebble on the beach where you start, and you bring that with you, and you throw it into the sea on the other side. So that's the bit of its ceremony, and it's also they've added in, you dip your toe on one side and you dip your toe on the other side. So that's the parcel of it. But what they don't tell you is Robin Hood's Bay is like, I don't know how many 100-year-old village, right? And you come off the cliff edge, or the cliff edge, you come off and you come into the lovely village. And then, you know, there's a descent down to the water. But the last 200 or 300 meters is cobblestone, and cars can't go down. And it's fairly bloody steep as well. So you have to try and I was, as I say, I was wincing. Whatever about uphill or a little bit of flat running, I was able to get a couple of steps. Going downhill, I was able to get nothing. So I was literally, and as I was plodding down, about a kilometre up the road that you pass is where the end aid station is, where all your food and shower and everything is. So you have to walk by that and look at all the people. Oh, how he is? I'll be back in a minute, and head on down then.
To throw me pedal.
Bit longer than a minute.
I'm eating first. Oh, Jesus, Shawnee, it was 4:15 when I finished. I never got back up there until after 7 o'clock.
Oh, jeez. So
you
at
get
least
there.
you take off your runners to dip your toe. It's going already.
Probably, Jason, I tell you, I could have dipped however I liked there. I wouldn't have felt my toe no matter what it was. Oh, Jason, but now there's a plaque on the wall, because it's actually a coast to coast path. It's mapped out. It's called the Wainwright Coast to Coast Path, like the 300 Ks. So like, there's a little plaque there, and in Silva sponsored, so they have the Oak up, and they have a 24-hour monitor on it as well for people to follow the race and stuff like. So, you know, you get to the end and there's a few people there and stuff like that, but you know yourself, it's every emotion under the sun. Sure, like, I broke down, the tears came, the whys, the ifs, the whats, everything came. Like, it had nothing to do with the pain in the toes or the feet. They all disappeared for them few seconds, sort of thing. It was the pure release of emotion, like the shaking, you know, just let a few roars out of yourself and stuff, and that's your kind of congratulatory to yourself.
How do you enjoy it? Is, I suppose, the feeling after 5 seconds, 10 seconds, and after the roars, and how do you recover?
I tell you how I recovered. A lad that I had met the night before the day before the race, traveling across on the bus. I met him that morning as he was staying in the same hotel, and I didn't meet him at any stage during the race. And he was at the end line. I was after having a right chat with him. He actually finished 4 hours ahead of me. And in fairness, he came down to the end line with his mate. And when I came in, he was standing there waiting to congratulate me. And as I said, like, I only spoke to the man for about 3 hours. I hadn't spoken to him at all during the race, but and he literally turned around to me and he goes, "There's Guinness in the pub there." And in Nick went and came back out and went, "There you go, and there's a pint of Guinness for you."
Not a bad way to start the recovery.
Oh, dear. And then I had to turn around and walk the kilometre back up the bloody cobblestones to go up to the aid station to get something to eat. And then the medics, because they had kind of talked to each other all the way across the race, wouldn't let me go until they gave me an evaluation to see that I need to go to the hospital, which now thankfully they didn't. But of course, the long and short of it again, to make it even harder on Shane, hadn't Shane booked the pub where I got the pint of Guinness was also my accommodation. So I had to walk back down the hill.
Just roll down at that stage, Shane. Just roll down.
And then the next morning, got up out of bed and I had to walk back up the hill, get into my car and drive all the way back to Wexford. From the far side. 4 hours drive back to the boat, up on the boat, off the boat. And I got back here about 3:30 that night myself back in Wexford.
Oh my God.
How did you make that journey the next day? Like, I think I would have just like, okay, I got staying another week over here because I can't use my feet. I'm way too tired. There's no way you're anywhere near recovered to make that journey back. Like that.
I would have let them bring me to hospital. Okay.
Boy, this way, cruise control. I'm quite glad I had cruise control on the car because I tell you, there wasn't a whole lot of gears and accelerating going on with my feet. I knew. Yeah.
No, I don't know after. Yeah. I don't know after. I read your blog on it. I was like, suffering. Had a nice curry chip. Suffering. Same thing. I saw the curry chip like, oh, Eric might like a race like this. Then I read the rest of it like, nah, Eric wouldn't like a race like this at all. I wonder if people listening are like, I'd love to do that challenge now, especially getting to the end and all the rest. But Jesus, there's a lot of suffering to get to that finish line. Sure, it's like I wonder if people are like, that could be in the bucket list, or nah, he's on his own there.
Come here and I tell you, it got that much coverage on Instagram and Facebook because of the weather. It got that much coverage. We finished on the Wednesday. I'm going to say, I think it was the following Friday week, they released 2025's race. It was sold out in 48 hours.
My God.
Yeah, I reckon they got that much recognition. So there was 129 signed up to start. I think 120 started and only 64 or 69 finished, I think.
Would you do this again? Is this something you're after again? Or did you leave it all there?
Like you tick the box.
And that's it.
What do you think?
You have to go bigger. You're not doing the same race.
Absolutely.
Do I dare ask about the spine after this?
No, so I'll tell you.
The 460 or?
I had made the decision, but I had made the decision that in 2 years, 26, I was doing 1 or 2 races. My sister lives in Phoenix, Arizona. So I was either going over there to do the Cocodona 250 mile race, which runs from just outside Phoenix, Sedona, all the way up to Flagstaff. So there'll be a lot of elevation. There's a lot of climatization because you're at elevation. Like Flagstaff is at 9,500 feet. Like, so you're going from, I think Sedona is at about 3,500. So you're climbing constantly. I was either going to do that or I said I'd commit to the summer spine. But my wife kindly reminded me then that my daughter's Holy Communion will be that year. So I was like, financially, that's not viable. So for now, I don't know. But I do know that, as I said, Northern Traverse sold out. But one of the guys, Casper actually, remember Casper,
yes.
Shawnee? He was talking to me. I gave him a lift up to the backyard there a few weeks ago. And I was telling him all about the Northern Traverse. And 3 days later, he messaged me to say that he'd signed up for the waiting list and they'd got back to him. So he's actually signed up for it now.
He is a mad bass. I think he's doing Missing the Malin next month. I think he's doing it for charity. He did something ridiculous, laps around the pitch for.
Yeah. So you don't know. he tried to. I think he was trying to do 200k, and I think he got about 100k. All right, no, 180k or something like that. But he done something enormous, anyway.
Yeah, he does something silly, but like when he does backyard ultras, he just takes off. Like so, with that weekend down thing,
I collected him that morning in the car, and Tom had literally tipped me off, and Tom was like, "Tell him to slow down." So literally, from the minute I got into the car, I was like, and he does. I was like, Casper, you have the capability to win this, but you have to slow down. And in fairness, he did. And literally, he was coming in exactly on like 41 minutes or something. But the poor chap just ended up getting stomach issues, and it just ruined him. Like, I think he dropped. Can't remember. He might have dropped on the 11th or the 12th. Did he drop with you on the 12th maybe, or something around that?
He could have went a little bit longer maybe, but like the same thing happened in Wexford. Like he was lapping me, lapping me, and lapping me. But he's I slow down, yeah. But he's so comfortable when he does it. He just seemed like he go for days, and then stomach issues as well. It wasn't like he was sprinting or anything like that. He just so comfortable, so relaxed, and he is going to do phenomenal things once he gets the nutrition and stomach thing sorted out.
When you see him running, he's so fluid. You know what I mean? Like I look like a cow about to run out through a fucking ditch when I'm running. This lad just smooth as running along, like, you know, that sort of way. He's a super runner, but I tell you now, and it'll come with age. He's a very young man. Like, he's only gone 20 left. You know what I mean? Like, he's a very young man, and it's just age and experience. And then once he figures out the stomach issues, he's going to be one to, like, he went down to Kerry, and I know he dropped out at Temple, and I haven't been talking to him since. Where just a bit of knowledge will come, with it, and he will be phenomenal because he's just like he done a half marathon the other day in 1:14 or 1:15 or something and won it.
Yeah, I saw that now. He's getting faster as half marathons. He's doing great. He's gonna do unreal, but fair play to him. Maybe he'll do the backyard ultra with yourself, maybe elevation. Tom PJ told me to ask it. Next April.
I tell you, it's the same thing. The Northern Traverse is actually on the same day again, or it's that week again. But as I say, I haven't signed up for it, but I do know if I sign up, I go for it. But I just don't think I will. I think I'm just gonna. To be honest with you, I actually, I done the 100k up in Florence Court there in August, and I swear to God, it's the first time in my life after doing an ultra that I was actually fresh as daisy. I was actually I would have kept going, but the reason I was there was for training sort of thing, because I just needed to figure out where I was, because you know what I mean, there's still pains and aches and pains from the Northern Traverse. It took me months upon months to get the heart rate somewhere right, aches and pains here and there, and just utter fatigue. And I don't mean fatigue when running, I mean getting up in the morning fatigue. Something I never suffered from.
Yeah, it's Shane, what you've done there, Transverse, I'll probably make sure that's blocked from my Google list, so I never try and look it up to do that race, because that just sounds bananas. But on that note, it's been phenomenal listening to you and your stories. I think I can say I lived it a little bit through you, and that's as far as I'll probably ever do for that race. Maybe Kerry Ultra 200, but that'd probably be my limit on that one. But absolutely fantastic having you on the podcast, Shane.
Johnny, never say never, lad. That Northern Traverse was that Northern Traverse was my suffering. I might go do 20k and some for the same, so don't worry about that, lad. I would highly recommend the Northern Traverse. Highly recommend it. But just be prepared to
grab it up before you come. I'm glad it's sold out, because I look at that tonight like, oh no, it's sold out. But I would think about something like that. Eric, grab it up before you convince me to do something else.
That bombshell. It has been absolutely wonderful, Shane, having you on. It's great to listen to you. I've no doubt we'll have you on when you decide what's coming next for you, and we can share some more stories. You've been great to listen to. I think everyone agrees we're probably not going to sign up. I know you're saying it's a great race, but I think we're going to leave it to you for this one. I'm definitely not going to sign up, and I love it, but it's been wonderful having you on. Thanks so much for giving us your time to share your stories and be so honest with us. It's been fun and it's been a laugh, and I've no doubt we'll see you on a track somewhere down the road.
No, lads, thanks very much. But lads, I must say, fair play to you for the podcast. It's a super podcast. Ireland is getting some great running podcasts. Yourself, Run Republic, and a few of them there, and it's brilliant to be showcasing gobshites like me and good runners like the likes of Keith Russell and them as well.
Look, it's great. We get great front row seats to good athletes as well, so it's as much good and fun for us.
That's it. Brilliant, lads. Thanks very much.
And that's it for this week's episode of the Any Given Night podcast. Myself, Shane, and Eric. Take care.